What's up, y'all? It's Tatycokley and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to talk to y'all today. We got a lot to get into. It's gonna be a little vulnerable, a little personal, all the things. But that is a part of kind of what we're talking about, of getting comfortable in the uncomfortable today, our journey, what that looks like, your fitness journey, your glow up journey for other words, wherever you're at right now in your space. And I wanted to come to y'all not just as you typically refer to me as maybe like your big sister, but just as a sister, maybe a little sister today, just being vulnerable about my own journey and where I'm at and making sure that y'all know that I go through the same thing. I get a lot of comments from you guys or DMs all the time talking about how do you stop your insecurities and things like that, and I have not cracked the code. I hope y'all know that. I do not have all the answers. I'm going through the same thing as y'all. I know at points I may feel high, but I also feel low sometimes. And so I want to talk about my journey and how I kind of bring myself back to my highs and what the lows look like. And just being vulnerable, as hard as that may be. So we're gonna talk about it today. All the jibber jabber. Let's just talk about it. So I'm going to talk to y'all vulnerably because I know a lot of y'all recently have seen my fitness journey, and now I'm at solid core and I go to Runyon sometimes, all these things, right? And so it seems as though I'm in this healthier space, and I think not giving you the backstory or the present story and the fact that the story is still being written is doing both of us a disservice. So let's go to like just body image and fitness in general and where that started for me, because most of y'all didn't meet me where it started. As a youngin', okay, I was super tiny, super petite. I was like 5 foot until junior year of high school, so I was already very tiny and compact. I couldn't keep any weight on me. I just was used to that. I almost became so used to that body, I just thought it was always gonna be that. And then my junior year, I got really tall, but I was still super tiny, still super easy to burn weight off of me like nothing, which formed unhealthy eating habits because I didn't have to worry about it in my mind. So I'm eating pizzas and cookies and snacks and popcorns and the whole nine every single day. Because, let's see, we can go into a deeper conversation because that's a trauma thing, but I don't know if we want to go that deep. But food became like a comfort thing for me. So if I had a rough day at school or if I was feeling whatever emotionally, if you guys have seen my video before talking about my fertility and all of those things that I was dealing with as a young girl, I didn't really know what to do to feel comforted, and so I was just eating. And you wouldn't know that because you couldn't see it. And I feel like people have a skewed idea of health in the country, and that, oh, if you look like you're skinny, you look like this, like you must be healthy. I was very unhealthy and built these super unhealthy habits for myself. And then as I got older, I'm like, well, I'm still 20 something and still small, so I guess this is for everything. And my mama Ben told me, when you get 25, it's all gonna change. And I was like, girl, then it happened. So then when I turned 25, it literally happened like this. And honestly, it was slowly creeping up on me, but I wasn't catching it. And then one day I just opened my eyes like, oh my God, girl, wait, hold on. It's starting to stick. Now this is real vulnerable, but in the last couple years, probably gained like 20 pounds-ish, 15 plus. I think I wasn't even noticing it stick because my body wasn't something that I was hyper focused on, because it was something that remained relatively constant throughout most of my life. And as somebody with anxiety, if there's something that's a constant, I'm like, great, this is the thing I take solace in. I don't have to look at it. Let me focus on the things that I'm anxious about, or that I do need to worry about, or that do have highs and lows. And that just seemed like something that was constant, so I never worried about it until things started to change. And now I realize that the years of not worrying about this constant that I thought would be forever constant is now something that is troublesome, because I now have to create new habits for myself. I now have to relearn how to eat properly, how to feed and nourish my body properly, because I never felt that I needed to. I never engaged in research about it. I never did anything but the easy thing, which was comfort food and binge eating and not thinking about it, because never seeing consequences or never seeing any addition to my body from it. So it just felt like it was gone as soon as I ate it. But now I know that it's not, and so that is troublesome sometimes for me, because I think just as you get older, there's a lot of things that change. And I think looking in the mirror and seeing myself differently than I have before, seeing a different body in front of me, and I guess it's not a different body, right? I guess it's not a different body, it's an evolved body. It's a different chapter of my body. It's the same body. And so I think looking at it that way and trying to embrace this chapter has been a little difficult, vulnerably. Sometimes it feels a little overwhelming, and then it feels like, oh, well, will I ever get the body back that I used to have, and da-da-da-da-da. And I think now I'm starting to be in a phase of like, no girl, you know, I'm not gonna look how I was when I was 16, and that's good. You know, I'm not there anymore. I'm in a different chapter, a different book with my body now. And now it's about fine-tuning the things that I want and the things that I don't, and eating properly and all the hard things. But I'm going to do them. In doing that, something that I started was 75 hard, and I started it, what, 2 days ago now? Let's just talk about it. If you've never heard of 75 hard, there's a basic list of rules that people follow, but I decided to add extra stuff for no reason. But we'll talk about the basic list. Basic list is reading 10 pages of nonfiction a day, which has been super fulfilling. And then it's 2 workouts a day, 1 indoor and 1 outdoors. We'll talk about that. And then it is no alcohol, which I already don't do, so that one was pretty easy. And then it is taking a progress picture every day, following some type of diet, and then drinking a gallon of water every day. So that's the basis of what we're working on. And although I started it, I think, being honest, from a guise of I want to transform my body and I want to do these things, getting into it, I'm realizing how much the body is connected to the mind, and how much the body is connected to the spirit and the emotion and the heart center. And at the end of this, I may transform my body into what I want it to be again, or blah blah blah, but I also may just transform into a version of myself that isn't so focused on something and can maybe go back to just putting the body image to the side and focusing on whatever else I need to. And I think that's where I'm headed. But I honestly figured out that I almost don't feel the discipline because I want my body to look a certain way, but I feel the discipline because I want to feel a certain way regardless of where my body is at. And I want the same thing for y'all. And so as long as my body is healthy, as long as I'm taking care of what's within it, as long as I am intentional about what I'm eating, the time that I'm spending with it, fine. And that's where we have to get to, because shell that is on the outside of who we are, and our spirit and our mind is just that. And so sometimes, now this is where we really chat about it, sometimes anxiety and trauma and things like that, when they're all kind of wrapped up, almost start to grip onto these things as a role of escapism, because maybe there are bigger things that you are anxious about in your life. Maybe there are bigger things that are unhealed that you don't want to focus on, and so it's easier to hyperfixate on, I need to lose a couple pounds, or I need to do whatever, because that's something that you feel like you have some type of control over. And maybe there are other things in your life that you feel like you don't have that control over, and hands up, that's me. And so I think I started hyperfixating on my body and the weight that I did gain, because it was like, okay, well, maybe I can try to control this, and maybe I can kind of dig my fingers in and fix this, when really there are other things that I probably should be focusing on, accepting that I can't control it. So I think in the conversation of fitness and body image and the journey of that, the biggest journey of that should probably be relinquishing some of that control, if it's coming from a place of I need to feel in control to feel safe, to feel okay, because 9 times out of 10 we're not in control. And I think the intention on why we're working out, the intention on why we're eating differently, should be about nourishing the temple that we have been blessed with, should be about taking care of ourselves so we can show up better for ourselves every day. It should be for those reasons. And if we allow it to be for how will the world see me, how am I looking at myself in the mirror, then we may be falling into a deeper hole that we can't climb out of, and maybe we don't want to climb out of. Maybe, just maybe, when things are going well, or when maybe you start to feel better and you start to focus on different things. Maybe because we've been so comfortable in being in a hole of insecurity, of being in a hole of feeling less than, maybe we find a way to dig and burrow ourselves back into that hole because it feels warm, because it feels safe. And maybe we may think in our mind, I want to get out of this hole so bad, but getting out of that hole may seem scary, because when things are going well, when we feel happy, when we feel like I'm confident, and I'm confident where I'm at because I'm me and that's enough. When we feel like that, sometimes that voice back here might start speaking. That voice of anxiety might say, this doesn't feel good, because a rug can be pulled out from under us and pull this joy from us. But we have to trust in ourselves that we'll be able to stand back up. And I think this whole body image conversation that I even see online and everything is very male-centered most of the time. And I just want not only myself, but for everyone to get back into being like a healthy version of self-centered. I know a lot of times that the self-centered term is very derogatory, like, oh, they're so self-centered and they only care about themselves and da-da-da-da-da. I think the way that I want us to embody being self-centered is by focusing and prioritizing self and how we treat self, so that we can show up for ourselves and other people in the best way possible. It's not about how people view us. It's not about where our body ranks on the score of society's perfection. It's about, how do we feel? How do we show up in our day-to-day life? How do we excel and grow and move to the next chapter? And I think that's what this 75 hard journey is about for me. I think it's about amplifying. I was talking about this the other day with my friend Renee, and I was telling her amplifying is kind of this stage that I'm in life right now, in all ways. And maybe that also looks like acceptance. Maybe amplifying is the harder thing to do. Maybe acceptance is the harder thing to do, right? The reason that I use that word is because if you've ever taken a Pilates class or solid core or anything like that, we give you a base level of, okay, this is what you're doing. And if you want to make it harder, if you want to push your body a little further, maybe you come up to your toes, or maybe you go a little slower, maybe you hold for a little longer. Whatever it is, that would be called an amplification in class. And so I think right now is a chapter of my life, and maybe yours, called amplification. And maybe it's doing the hard thing of waking up a little earlier. It's doing the hard thing of maybe doing my second workout, not just because I want my body to look a certain way, but just because I know I can do it, and maybe because I know my body would appreciate it, because my body shows up for me every single day. And so how do you show up for it? So how do we amplify, and how do we amplify internally? Maybe it's accepting the things that we're so hyper focused on. Maybe it's accepting that we only care about these things because of other people. Maybe it's acceptance. Maybe acceptance is the amplification from the base of insecurity, or the base of, I'm just going to be scared about it and I'm just going to have anxiety, rather than just accepting that it is what it is. Sometimes that's the harder thing to do, but I always say you can do the hard thing, and that you owe it to yourself to do the hard thing. Self-love is doing the harder thing when it's hard to do it. And so I think that's where I'm at with myself, and I don't ever want to not share that with y'all, and y'all think, oh, she's just so easy to just do this fitness stuff and she just, no. It's really, really hard, and there are days that I don't do it, and there are days that I look at myself and I'm like, girl, you look a mess, and that's just what it is. But I'm also in a season of gratitude for what my body does for me. I'm grateful that my body woke up for me today. I'm grateful that my body walked me in here. I'm grateful for what my body does for me, and not what my body looks like and what it needs to look like and who says this. And we have to start to let that go. And even I can fall into that, and I want y'all to know that. And it's okay and it's normal to feel that way, but it's also an option to choose differently, to amplify, to try it. And your body will thank you, your mind will thank you, your heart will thank you, your spirit will thank you for doing the hard thing of accepting and pushing yourself for reasons other than other people. That is, other people centered. Maybe it's time to be a little bit self-centered for you and everyone else. Also, that's something that I've talked about in therapy, because especially as women, sometimes we feel like we always have to serve everyone else. Maybe you feel like you have to serve within your body. Maybe you feel that your body is meant to serve others visually, other ways, reproductively. Maybe you feel that way, because I have. And so when your body doesn't look exactly how you feel like it should, based off of what you saw or what someone said or what society is showing, Maybe you feel that you're not serving to your fullest capacity, and so you feel like an inadequate server, but you are not an inadequate server. You are more than enough, and you don't have to serve anyone but yourself. And so that is where I want you to start to shift the perspective. And that's why I'm excited to tell y'all about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, which is a super important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to just the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online and it's remote. And by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as just a few days. It's super easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description at betterhelp.com/Taty. Now, clicking that link does support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect to a therapist and see if it's the right fit for you. And because finding a therapist is a little bit like dating, if you don't really vibe with your therapist, you can switch it out at any time. You don't have to worry about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Therapy has been a huge part of my journey, of my growth, of healing, and getting back to my inner self and my inner child. So if you need some help with that during your journey right now, check out betterhelp.com/Taty. You have two options: either click the link in my description or just type in betterhelp.com/Taty. Thank you again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel. And now let's get back into the video. Maybe ask yourself the tough questions. Maybe you bring your journal out and ask yourself, if you're having issues with your body image right now, where is it coming from? Who told you these things? And why does it make you feel the way that it is? What emotion is pulling up from that, and why? What's underneath it? Do you feel that maybe it's not about you? Maybe it's about how you feel others see you. Maybe you feel it's about how valuable are you to others if X, Y, and Z. Maybe you just need to explore that within yourself, the way that I recently have, and realized a lot of these things are more harmful to me than helpful. And as a proclaimed girl's girl, I have to be that to myself. And me being mean to myself and putting myself down is being the bully that I never ever wanted to become. And so if I'm going to be a girl's girl with everyone else, I have to be a girl's girl to myself and be kind about where I'm at and encourage myself about where I'm going. And so do you, girl. Also, in therapy, I realized a lot of trauma about like your inner child, I guess, and how you could be 85 and your inner child may still be running the show and driving the car. I don't know if y'all just saw that little girl that drove to Target and went and got herself a little frappuccino. Your inner child might be doing that, and like she's in a car ready to go, ready to push it, and you may need to take the wheel in a safe and warm way, right? Maybe you show her why you should be the one doing it and make sure that she can trust you. And in her trusting you, that would require you to be a safe space. And so being mean to yourself, being mean about your body is not you being a safe space, and wouldn't make me want to give you the wheel at all. Being kind, being warm, being comforting to your inner child, and vice versa, is how you two can trust each other and have less accidents and moments like that, because you two can trust each other. Also, if you are hyperfixated on the things about your body that you do not like, I challenge you to start to think about things that you do like in whatever way. And that means looking very, very deep into the little baby details, into maybe how your hair lays behind your left ear, like very, very tiny things. Since you want to fixate so bad, maybe let's fixate on the things that you do like. And if you go head to toe of your body and cannot find one little hair of something that you enjoy, maybe it's time to explore the possibility that you have become your biggest bully. Maybe it's time to explore the possibility that if you cannot find one thing, you have conditioned your brain to always find the negative, maybe even outside of you, maybe in your life, maybe in your relationships, maybe in whatever. It may be a perspective issue to where you can't feel the joy. Maybe joy feels scary to you. Maybe confidence feels scary to you. When's the last time you felt that and what happened? Maybe there are things that we just need to explore in shifting your perspective, because that had to have come from somewhere, and you don't deserve to feel that every single thing on you, in you, around you is ill or negative or unattractive. You don't deserve to feel that way, and somebody or some event or something may have made you feel that along the way. And so it's important to take a look back. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to look at my past, I don't want to look back, I'm always looking forward. Sometimes you need to look back in order to move forward. Sometimes I need to see what held me back last time so I can move forward more focused, so I can move forward with better speed, so I can move forward with more intention on where I'm going and know the path that I'm taking, and that I don't take a detour again. And sometimes I need to look back and refer to that so I can make the better choice moving forward. And so I disagree with that statement of never look back. I think it's good to look back, and it's not good to live back because you're here now, but it's good to look back, refer, learn, and push forward. And so maybe that is something that affects your body image, and maybe you thinking about it, being vulnerable enough with yourself to open up the door about it would be helpful for you. Even though it may feel hurtful in the beginning, sometimes we have to weather that storm in order to get to the other side that you're looking for. Maybe there's some beauty in the storm as well. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, y'all, so I hope you got something from this video. I hope you feel more encouraged, more empowered. I hope you feel all the things that you deserve to feel. I hope maybe this inspired you to start your own journey. Maybe it's not 75 hard. Maybe it's just you journaling more often. Maybe it's just you changing your perspective on how you see yourself in the mirror in whatever way that looks like for you. And I hope at the least you feel a little bit lighter than you did before you clicked onto this video. You deserve to feel that way. I'll update you guys on my 75 hard journey, because it's gonna be a journey. I'll update you on here, on Instagram, on TikTok. Y'all know all the things. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do so we can have more chats like this, and I will see y'all in the next one.